Hello everyone, my name is Javed and I will be analyzing the film The Song of Sparrows, directed by Majidi. I have added the YouTube link of this film in the details section of this video. If you haven't watched this film, please watch the film and then watch this analysis video. In the movie The Song of Sparrows, Kareem finds himself caught between a quiet, simple world and a materialistic world. His only desire is to take care of his family. However, when the ostrich farm fires him after he loses an ostrich, he must find another way to make money. A man mistakes him for a motorcycle taxi driver, which gives him the opportunity he needs. Unfortunately, this opportunity begins to change him. Kareem's exposure to the materialistic aspect of the world causes him to become a better father by the end of the movie. The narrative of the Song of Sparrow is filled with many little incidents and episodes, but it traces through roughly four main sections. I'll be talking about those four main sections. Section number one, Kareem at the ostrich farm. The film opens with striking pictures of ostriches and then shows us Kareem's energetic attendance to their feeding and collecting the huge eggs. His work is interrupted with news that Hania, his teenage daughter back in the village, has lost her hearing aid in the local irrigation reservoir. He rushes back to retrieve this irreplaceably expensive item, but when recovered, it turns out to be broken. Back at the ostrich ranch, Kareem is momentarily distracted by the way some of his work crew are mishandling the birds, which gives one of the ostrich the opportunity to escape from its pen and head out over the barren landscape. Kareem's strenuous efforts to find the bird comes to naught, and when the boss returns, Kareem learns that he has been sacked. This section has served to introduce Kareem and his family, a wife and the three children, and its relatively modest circumstances. It ends with the disruptive event of Kareem's loss of employment. At this point, three disastrous losses have occurred for Kareem. A. The loss of his daughter hearing aid. B. The loss of the ostrich. And C. The loss of his job. How is the unskilled Kareem going to feed his family and replace his daughter's expensive hearing aid? Now, let's talk about the section 2, that's Kareem goes to the city. Now, undaunted by the crisis, Kareem rides his motorbike to the crowded streets of Tehran to see if the hearing aid can be repaired. After learning from a doctor that he will somehow have to buy a prohibitively expensive new one, he returns to mount his motorbike and is just at that moment mistakenly taken by a hurried businessman to be a private taxi operator. These private taxis are technically illegal in Iran, but they are tolerated because this is the only practical way to move the vast urban population about the crowded streets of the city. Soon Kareem realizes that he can make some money this way, and he begins and at that point he begins pursuing this line of work in earnest. The businessmen that he subsequently picks up are all rushing about in the congested Tehran rat race, often making deals with their mobile phones, and they ride on the back of his bike. Kareem also discovers from overhearing the mobile phone conversations that these businessmen are often pretending to be what they are not. One of them even assures his listener instantly, saying that I am in Mashhad, that's another city several hundred miles east of Tehran. Kareem also observes that what is considered junk in Tehran would have some value back in his village. He picks up a tossed out TV aerial and takes it back home to enhance his own TV reception. Soon he starts taking home other items to see if he can repair them and add to his homestead. While Kareem is he's busy entering the hurly-burly world of capitalism, hoping to enrich himself, he learns that his son Hussein, who is about 11 years old, is similarly busy with his own dreams of enrichment. He and his boyfriends have somehow come up with the insane idea that they can become millionaires if they can grow and sell thousands of goldfish in the village water reservoir. So So they're all working diligently to do what seems impossible, clean all the mud out of the reservoir so that it can be fit for their goldfish farm. To Kareem, this is crazy, and he scolds his son for wasting his time. At this point in the story, Kareem's fortunes are not on the upswing, and he is hopeful. He has decided to make his living as a motorbike taxi driver and junk repairman, and he tells his wife that he can make more money this way than by getting an ordinary unskilled worker's job. He gives his friend Ramazan an offering to place at the shrine in Mashhad in the hopes that his life will continue to improve. So that was about the second section of the film. Now coming to the third section, which is Kareem's work in the city. So this section is about 25 minutes. Now, having already stumbled into the job of motorbike taxi driver and junk repairman, Kareem stumbles into another lucrative operation, that of a goods porter in the city. But Kareem's acquisitiveness is growing too. At this swings the narrative arc in a downward direction. He uses a fake ID card to join a group of hired bike transporting refrigerators. But at this point, when his bike stalls during the mission, he loses sight of the group ahead of him and gets lost, and he completely gets lost in the crowd. He now succumbs to the temptation to sell his cargo refrigerator in the black market and the pocket money for himself. But the chance sighting of some ostriches on a truck somehow strikes a chord with him, with his conscience, and he ultimately returns the refrigerator box to the original warehouse. Nevertheless, Kareem's increasing obsession with commercial gain is still dominating his outlook, as is evidenced by his subsequent reluctance to pay a young girl on the road selling smoking aspanta. Later, while riding on the Tehran motorway, Kareem happens to see Hania and Hussein selling flowers, and he loses his temper at their actions that, from his selfish perspective, are making him lose face. In a rage, he abusively smacks poor Hania, and when he returns home and learns that the flower selling was undertaken to support Hussein's absurd fish farming schemes, completely blows his top. But when he storms over the water reservoir with destructive intent, he's shocked to see that the boys have actually completed their arduous task and have cleaned up the reservoir and have for fish to live in it. Though mollified somewhat, he is still obsessed with his own junk repair operations, which have now filled the front area of his house. Now, at this point, while climbing over a mountain of it to arrange some of the items, he falls and breaks his leg. So that was the section which explained the consequences of Kareem. Now, according to the last sections, which is about 26 minutes, that's going to explain about the change of heart. Now, how Kareem changes, how he was at the beginning of the movie and how he changes in the end of the movie. Now, when Kareem injures himself and sees what Hussein and his friends did to the watershed, he realizes his recent mistakes and becomes a much better father than in the beginning of the movie. Throughout most of the movie, Kareem thinks that Hussein's $1 million scheme is absurd. However, shortly before he breaks his leg, he visits the water reservoir and notices that Hussein and his friends cleaned it completely. Now he stares at the newly cleansed water reservoir and seems to realize that there is nothing wrong with what his son and his friends are trying to do with it. After this, Kareem goes home and he goes home and he breaks his leg, like as I said, while climbing up the pile of junk. Now at this point of time, his injury allows him to slow down and realize that he has been heading down the wrong path. Unable to venture into the city every day, Kareem's shock temper seems to disappear and his overall attitude improves. Now, at this point, the audience notices this when Kareem and the boys are sitting in the back of the truck after they have to let most of the fish go. And this happens at the end of the film. While boys are actually throwing the flower pots, now the boys are frantically throwing, and they break all the flower pots in the truck, as they're trying to save their fish. Before this moment, Kareem would have yelled at Hussein for his blind desire to save the fish. He would have yelled at Hussein, but instead he didn't. Kareem begins to sing a song and he makes the boys laugh and sees the beauty of life in a larger context. At the end of the film, he sees a sparrow trapped in his room, and he opens the door to set it free. When his friend Ramazan reports that the wayward ostrich from the ostrich farm has returned, Kareem reflects on how he has changed since that original loss, and he lapses into a dream or meditation in which the ostriches appear as a splendiferous creature of God. That was about section 4. I hope you guys liked the video. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please share this video, and you can also hit the subscribe button right over here. Thank you.